Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing today? My name is Brendan Reviews, and I gotta say one thing. Doing the whole Iceberg Chronicles thing is kind of hard in one aspect, when some of this shit is just downright unwatchable. And I don't just simply mean the harder hitting stuff. I'm not talking about just tier 7 or tier 8. I'm talking about when the quality of what I'm watching is so fucking awful, why would I watch it? That's what tier 5 is. Tier 5 is filled with some of the most astronomically boring, bad, horribly edited, horribly acted movies I think I've ever seen, period. Is saying a lot. I have seen some really fucking shitty movies. I've seen Manos, The Hands of Fate, I've seen The Room, Birdemic, all of these fucking famous ass bad movies. But you know what? It makes half of these movies look like cinematic gold. I don't know how. The only movie that I still dislike more than the ones on tier 5 is Manos, The Hands of Fate. I've never seen a movie worse than that one. But this, ladies and gentlemen, what the fuck? Here we go. Let's start talking about the tier 5 movies one by one. Except for one of them, which is gonna get their own video. So here we go. Starting off with the movie that I just reacted to, the Necro Files. This movie is literally about a rapist who is killed by these police officers, and eventually these Satanists bring that Satanist back to life, and he's now like a zombie corpse rapist, and he goes around hunting for women and whatever, raping them. They sacrifice this baby to bring him back to life, and eventually that baby comes to life.
Where the fuck do you think you're going? Man, I don't care! All I know is I'm not gonna wait around this joint waiting for something evil to come kick our asses!
And one of the cops is losing their mind and all this and that. What a fucking riot it was. I absolutely loved this movie. I know for a fact the editing isn't the greatest. Those window transitions are terrible, and I'm gonna say this. Even if the acting is over the top, the editing isn't the greatest. And obviously the direction and actual like budget, you can tell that it was cheaply made or made at home. I got one thing to say. It is an entertaining mess the whole way through, and I absolutely love it. This is a movie that I would get drunk with my friends and watch on a Halloween night, on a late summer night, whatever. I think this movie is absolutely hilarious the whole way through. It is a fun ride that all of the charm with the overacting, the bad editing, it just plays in to the feel of the movie, and that movie is just a fun fucking mess of a ride.
Don't even think about it, fuckface!
So, guys, I absolutely loved the Necro Files, but let's start talking about the other movies on this tier. Starting off with Women's Flesh, My Red Guts. Okay. So, the story goes that it's this woman, she's eventually broken up with by, I believe, her boyfriend or her husband, whatever. The male lover in her life leaves her. And in this extreme amount of emotional pain, she starts to find different ways of sexually mutilating her that herself, not anybody else doing it to her. She finds ways of torturing herself, and she gets some sexual arousal out of it, eventually leading to her death. As a matter of fact, just to give you guys an idea, she's like cutting out her inside, she's playing with her intestines at one point, and she's like sticking a toothbrush in her, and it's, how do I even put it into words? The disturbing premise could have worked if that's just it. That it was a decently made movie, or at least if it had any seriousness to it, maybe then the premise could have worked. But due to the terrible acting and the terrible editing, this movie is absolutely boring to sit through and ruins what a disturbing premise this movie actually contains. As a whole, this movie is absolute dog shit, and I think is not worth anybody's time. I did not appreciate it. I thought that the disturbing premise was a lack of potential. Oh, it could have worked so much better and a different in a different kind of context. If you want to see a movie that's kind of like this, but is a little bit better than this movie, I would say Cutting Moments is a better movie. Yeah, alright. Moving on to the next movie. Moving on to Ostermontag. I don't know if I can even show the fucking poster to this movie. This poster is, whoa, it's a lot. So, based off of that poster, I thought maybe this is gonna be a big, hard-hitting movie. Well, the movie's only like 50 minutes long, right? And the movie is just simply about a guy who's obsessed with this girl, and he ends up kidnapping her and raping her, and I think her stepsister. Him and his friends, they torture these girls, killing them, but then he eventually kills his friends in the end. And the last 12 minutes are what makes this movie so famous and why it's on the actual Iceberg, because the whole movie leading up to it is just, it's really boring, it's actually rather tame, but the last 12 minutes are what make this movie, I don't know, it gives this movie any kind of credibility, but in my opinion, the last 12 minutes absolutely fucking sucked. So, first, some things to mention is that this movie, Ostermontag, goes underneath like a ton of different names, and man, some of these names are fucking interesting. The first one that I want to mention is Snuff Holocaust. Okay, yeah, okay, stereotypical name. Snuff Massacre, like massacre, massacre, Massa
couldn't catch me, my legs long than a bitch.
That Massa, Tyler the Creator. This one title, this one gets me. I spit on your fucking grave, bitch. Okay, I don't really have a whole lot to say about this movie. This movie was terrible. It was boring the whole way through. The last 12 minutes, which has this really disturbing idea of like a guy using a knife down there and inserting it in, acting like he's having sex with this woman, and like eventually shoving a like barrel of a gun up there and like blows the trigger and it blows out her back, whatever. Like, these are disturbing ideas, but the gore was so bad, the sound effects were terrible, and like it wasn't willing to go all the way with it and like actually show anything like truly, like, for all you know, she's like, they're just stabbing it into like some like latex sex doll or some shit like that. I don't even know what the hell to say about it. I just thought it was boring. Gore effects were bad. It's tame. I didn't like it. So moving on from Ostermontag into yeah. Oh, Girl Hell 1999. Oh, fuck. This movie follows this girl. She has this homeless friend, right? And she talks with this homeless friend quite a bit, right? And what eventually happens is she's like talking to this homeless friend to escape what is going on at her house, which her house has her drunken father who's raping her sister who is disabled, right? While at the same time, there are these two boys going on like a sex crazed rampage, basically, where they're raping and killing everybody that they find, whatever. And eventually they get to the sister and they kill the dad, they kill the sister, and they do rape the homeless lady. But our main character, when the maniacs find her, she's like such in shock and whatever that like they don't rape her because they get off on like actually hurting their victim. So when she has no reaction to like what they're trying to do, they just leave her alone, right? And one of them gets really mad and kills the other maniac, and then she just kind of snaps at the end of the movie and kills her homeless friend that somehow was still alive after being beaten with a baseball bat after being raped. So I don't know. I'll say one thing, this movie is more cinematic than the rest of the movies that have come prior to it. It at least has some decent attributes to it. Some of the acting's actually pretty decent, and some of the gore effects look rather realistic, and it has more of an actual quality presence to it than the rest of the movies on this iceberg, I would say. Or not on this iceberg, on this tier. But I still found it to be very tedious, and the horrifying premise just, it doesn't pack too much of a punch when the movie is rather dragged out and you can't really tell what's going on, especially with the ending where the main character, she ends up killing the homeless friend that she had, which I don't understand why she did that. I would understand maybe if it was just like the friend, like the homeless friend maybe brought up something that was like really triggering to her, but literally she stares at this doll that was special to the homeless person, saw that the doll was smashed and whatever, and then she killed the homeless person. I was so confused throughout half of the movie, and I watched it like I think twice trying to understand it, and just I'm not too fond of it, but as a whole, it's better than most of the other movies. So really quickly, while I still got these lights set up for a big project coming this summer and fall, I got one thing to say, and I forgot one of the movies, and that movie is My Chin's Daily Life. So My Chin's Daily Life is literally about this girl. She finds out that she has regenerative abilities, right? And these abilities allow her to basically grow a limb after she gets a limb cut off, right? And what happens is she's living with this rich bachelor and kind of like this bachelor's maid, whatever. And basically they subject her to torture and allow her and basically disembowel her and continuously torture her and let other people torture her for their own enjoyment. And basically until the end, that's the end of the movie, really. As a whole for this movie, I gotta be honest on one thing, and that is, though it has some decent attributes, as in like some of the music is good, especially the classical music, and some of the gore effects are good. Outside of that, I would say the entire movie is just a slog the whole way through. It's an absolutely slow mess. I think that the acting is absolutely terrible. The editing and the quality of it is just as bad as some of the movies that are also on this tier. It's not as bad as, let's say, further movies down the list, like The Gateway Meat or The Taming of Rebecca, but it is just as bad as a movie like Women's Flesh, My Red Guts. The actual production value seems like shit, and I don't know. All I know is that this movie didn't work for me. And yeah, moving on right back into the regular video. These guys just got my tongue in 4K. Fuck you. Moving on to the next movie, this movie is Eccentric Psycho Cinema. So, alright, I really don't have much to say on this one. It's literally just about a man with either his girlfriend or some person that he's hooking up with, or maybe literally a prostitute. He subjects her to sexual torture, and then she eventually dies at the end. This movie is very boring and is very tame for the disturbing premise, and even when it decides to get ballsy, it's too terribly acted to leave an impact, and for that reason alone, it's just not worth your watch. It's rather boring. It's really badly acted. It's really badly acted. There's a moment where she's getting like tortured with like shock, with like electricity, and I'm sitting here going, why isn't she moving? Like, she has the ties, they're very loose. She could just slip her hands out. I'm like, in real life, somebody would try to yank their fucking hands out and like push the person off of them and try to fight back or something like that. But she's just sitting there getting shocked, like, and I'm like, get the fuck out of the chair, move. Oh, bad movie. I'm done talking about it. Moving on to the next movie. Jesus fucking Christ. I really gotta talk about this one? Okay. The Gateway Meat. A man with his family. He is a Satanist, and he murders people as he starts to hallucinate about people he has murdered and the child abuse he suffered as a kid. As the movie goes on, he eventually drags his family more and more into it, where eventually his family is helping him murder as he slips into madness, basically. This movie is by fucking far the worst movie I have ever seen besides Manos: The Hands of Fate. I don't think I've ever seen a movie so devoid of logic, editing, quality, fucking anything remotely that would make a movie good. I've never seen a movie devoid of it so much to the point it still gets fucking made. I cannot believe that this movie got made.
You're a fucking piece of shit. Get up off the floor. You have work to do, you moron. You have work to do. Get up off the floor. You have work to do. Useless. You're the reason she's dead.
Who sat there in the living room of this fucking man who made this movie and went, whoa, this movie's really good, dude. You should totally put this out there. I would be fucking embarrassed to put this out there. It was fucking terrible. Not to mention, the man who made the movie had the balls, the fucking audacity to bring his like 6-year-old daughter into the fucking mix and have her film in this movie about Satanists killing people. She's actually at the ending scene and is there watching her father kill people. This isn't, and I don't mean it as in like it's somebody else who's playing a 6-year-old. I mean it's an actual 6-year-old girl in a movie about Satanists murdering people. What the fuck? I've never seen something like this. This movie is shockingly bad. Not even in just premise and execution. It's shockingly bad in fucking moral taste. And that's something you shouldn't even fucking need to worry about that kind of thing. You shouldn't even need to worry about it. Like, all these movies are clearly in bad taste. If not that, it's at least in a hilarious sense or something like that. Like, it's in a joking taste. But what the fuck? I've never seen something like this. He brought his kid into the mix of the movie where there are Satanists murdering families in this movie. Why? Oh my god. I got nothing more to say on this movie than it is by far one of the worst movies I have ever seen. And I doubt I'm ever gonna see a movie truly as bad as this one was. My god. Holy shit. Moving on to the final movie I'm talking about. Okay, The Taming of Rebecca. This is one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen, especially because it's a porn movie. Just an FYI, I did not sit all the way through this movie. I basically skimmed through it because I didn't need to continuously see somebody have sex with multiple guys. I was good. Really didn't need to see that. But the plot is basically this woman, she is sexually abused by her fucking father. She tries to run away and then is continuously sexually abused by other people she meets in the movie, right? And this movie is the weirdest movie on this entire tier. And it's for so many fucking reasons. Not only is it a porn movie, and that's just weird as fuck. 2, is awkwardly edited. In 3, obviously the acting's terrible, but even by like, I don't know, even by maybe porn standards, is there really that, okay, I guess I got a big question. Is there that good of a standard for acting in porn movies? Because if this is like the norm, who the hell, why would anyone even watch porn for like a story or some shit?
Yes.
Santa called me and she told me that the school's really nice. It's Dad.
Sex? With you?
The fourth thing, it uses the Halloween soundtrack, and I don't mean like it uses Halloween spooky music throughout the whole thing. I mean it uses the John Carpenter 1978 Michael Myers Halloween movie soundtrack. It uses the synth music. It uses the Halloween theme. It uses Laurie's theme. That da 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 da. What? Like, A, how did they get away with this and not get fucking sued? And 2, why would you use it in this context? I don't just simply mean like porn movie context. I mean, why would you use it for such a stupid fucking movie? This movie's easily the weirdest movie on this entire tier, and I doubt it's ever gonna get as bad as like this in the Gateway Meat did. No matter what way you look at it, it is terrible on all fronts. As a horror movie, it is laughable. As a porn movie, I don't know, there's just nothing about it that's even remotely sexual. There's nothing that you could get out of this movie if you were looking at it as a porn movie. It just fails on all fronts. It is cringy, it is laughable, and it is just as bad as the Gateway Meat, but because it's not taken as seriously, I think that this movie is just, I don't know, 0.000000000000001% better. So that's that. And guys, this is tier 5. Oh shit. Oh shit. I'm forgetting a movie, aren't I? I'm forgetting one movie. And this is the movie that y'all fucking voted for, saying that I gotta watch it. I really hate all of you. In the next episode of Iceberg Chronicles is going to be Tumbling Doll of Flesh. I've heard so many things about this movie, and I think this might be the only movie on this entire tier that might actually have a chance at being disturbing, so I guess we'll see. I guess we will see. My name is Brendan Reviews, and I don't hope all of you have a great day, evening, night, or whatever the fuck time you guys are watching this, because you guys are making me watch that movie. Okay. Fuck all of you. I will see you all next time. And if I die in that video, you guys are not invited to my funeral. That's all I gotta say. Bye!